I think she will try to restore dialogue, and I think that's a good thing, both for South Korea and for the United States, that we try to get back into more open lines of communication with the North and exploring ways to resolve these problems. So I think this is something. I think there have been two things that have characterized the Obama administration that are different from previous administrations on North Korea, and I think they're both very relevant to the situation we face. One is Obama has been open to keeping lines of communication open, even as dialogue has not proven particularly productive. And secondly, that the Obama administration has very much pursued a policy of wanting to have South Korea in the lead in dealing with the North. I think Madam Park is going to want to do that. She has some experience having visited North Korea, having met with Kim Jong-il, having thought about that issue a great deal through her long time in public life, and I think there may be an opening for at least reducing tensions.
Very good. And on the relationship with the United States?
I know from my various meetings with her through the years that she has great respect for the United States, puts great emphasis on the U.S.-Korea alliance, and I'm sure she will bring into her administration some of the people that we've been dealing with through the years, and I think that bodes well for continuing this unprecedentedly warm relationship that we've had with South Korea into the future.
I think that fits in with the general consensus within South Korea that there needs to be more engagement with the North, but not an unconditional one, and that also dovetails well with the U.S. approach to North Korea, although I think it could certainly afford to be more active in this engagement, and with South Korea taking the lead, as seems to have been the trend recently, I think we'll see much more, or at least somewhat more, involvement of and coordination between South Korea and the U.S. in really dealing with the issues with the North that can't be ignored and are not going to be addressed in any other way than through dialogue. Relations with the U.S., in some ways, the best possible outcome for stability and continuity in the U.S.-ROK relations would have been the re-election of Barack Obama and the election of Park Geun-hye, and that's exactly what happened. So we're going to see perhaps less strain, or there might have been had there been another outcome, but there are obviously still issues on the economic front, on relations with North Korea, that need to be addressed and are not going to be necessarily perfectly harmonious. But I think that the relations between the U.S. and the ROK are going to be relatively good under the Park Geun-hye presidency. China also looms very large, and China is a very important economic and political partner for South Korea, and I think that's going to be even more important going forward. The one question, it seems to me, is about Japan, and if there are going to be difficulties with Japan over various economic, territorial, and political issues, and in particular, if the re-election of the LDP in Japan will push Japan toward a more, let's say, militarized direction that will create problems in their relations with their neighbors, and particularly South Korea. That's not Park Geun-hye's responsibility, of course, but how she deals with Japan and whether there will be strains in Japan-ROK relations is, I think, one important regional question going forward.
Well, I think it's significant that the day after she was elected, she noted national security as really a top priority. And she's said in the past that, a good security environment is an essential prerequisite for economic growth. And so I think that, it shows that she's very serious-minded. She recognizes the challenge. At the same time, I think with regards to the policy toward North Korea that she has laid out, she also shows elements of pragmatism. And so I think this is interesting because, generally speaking, the Korean public seemed to be interested in trying to get out of this Cold War versus Sunshine policy, kind of going back and forth, and have more of a synthesis of policy approaches. And if you look carefully at what Madam Park has written, and said about her desired policy toward North Korea, I think she, does that. The big question, of course, is going to be how North Korea responds to her election and whether they're willing to accept her as a partner. In terms of the broader security environment, I absolutely agree that the state of the U.S.-Korea relationship right now is very solid, and so it provides a good foundation from which to build. Park generally will be seen as representing continuity and the opportunity to build on that foundation. At the same time, she has, I think, made some very interesting comments about the desire to spread reconciliation in Northeast Asia. She has a Northeast Asia Peace and Cooperation Initiative that, at least as a blueprint, sounds very attractive, wanting to promote greater cooperation among China, Japan, and South Korea, and also advocating for a strong U.S.-China relationship as an important part of the security environment. We all know that, not only has the issue of North Korea become more difficult, but also the regional and historical, tensions over historical issues have risen. And, I would agree with Charles and Tom that the Japan-Korea relationship, especially the issue of history, is going to be challenging for both countries to deal with. We'll just have to see. I think that both leaders, Abe and Park, recognize that the relationship is important, but it's just not clear politically whether there is space on both sides to effectively manage that set of issues so that it doesn't poison the broader relationship.